Hello and welcome to The Good, The Bad and The Ugly with me, Rusty, here at All for United. The show where we've got 3 topics, 3 questions, and we want everybody to join in. My guest, myself, and those in the comments. So hello to you guys as well. This week, I am joined with Pauly and I'm joined with James. How you doing, lads?
Great. I'm looking forward to talking about United because that's always fun. I'm looking forward to having a laugh because that's fun. And because if you go on the internet these days to talk about United, it's basically only crying. So we're going to try to just have a laugh today.
That's a fair comment as well, to be honest, Pauly. It's just absolute drama at the moment. And just there's literally channels like this and other channels like Stretford Paddock are just throwing out videos every hour, every 2 hours, because it's like seems to be something new, some kind of drama going on. How's your day been anyway, Pauly? I'll come to you first, mate. What have you been up to?
It's great. It's one of the most beautiful days of the summer in New York. Perfect weather. I am home at my mom's house. That's how you folks say it, with the mum, watching her dog. And so that's been a great excuse to get outside and walk around and enjoy the weather. So it's been perfect.
Good, mate. And there's a lot of jealous people here and in the comments now with you being there on a sunny day in New York, buddy. James, has your day been as beautiful as Pauly's?
No, not anything else. I've spent it in a factory in sunny Nottingham. So, yeah, it's been... I've just seen daylight as I've come out at 6 o'clock. That was the first time. So, I'm hoping that the show can sort of lift the spirits a bit.
Lift your spirits, mate. Yeah, of course. You might want to get on the sunbed as well, pal. Get a bit of vitamin D inside you if you're locked inside the factory all day long. But lads, let's get on with the first topic that I sent you over, which is the good. And it's Mason Greenwood has got a call up to the England squad. Now, obviously, Paul, you're American, so I don't know how you're going to get excited about this, but obviously you can do off the actual aspect that he's a Man United player who's progressing. But for me, it's absolutely fantastic. His first senior call up to the full England squad. I know he's buzzing. He's been on Twitter and he's been saying how proud he is, how proud his family and his friends are. I'll come to you first, James, as the Englishman in the studio. What do you feel about Mason Greenwood getting a call up?
I think it's warranted, without a doubt. You know, he's towards the end of the season, he was one of the best English players in the league. You know, in incredible form for his age. I think he'll add something to England that they've been missing for a while. They've been relying on Harry Kane as being the main finisher for a while. So, taking a bit of weight off his shoulders, you could improve Harry Kane's performances as well. So, from an England team perspective, it can only be a positive, and from a Greenwood perspective, it can only be a positive. It's experience that's going to keep building him as a player. You know, going to help him grow and turn him into the high quality player that we all know he can. I think the only negative spin you can put on it is, you know, the season's very fast approaching and more games means a higher risk of a potential injury. So that's possibly the only pessimistic way you can look at it. But in general, I think you can only really see it as a positive.
Yeah, exactly, James. Yeah, there is that that small bit of negativity, the fact that this season coming up is going to be so congested. There's going to be so many games back to back. Do we want pretty much pointless England games going on right now when we could be focusing on getting him fit, getting him 100% ready for the season ahead for United? Pauly, what's your take on the Mason Greenwood call-up? Does it even fascinate you in the slightest, being from America?
I actually am an England supporter, so it does. Yeah, that's the beauty of living in America, is you could support both the U.S. and England, and they really only play each other once in a blue moon. I really like it. It's 100% well-deserved. He is just an absolute bona fide goal scorer who rounded his game out a lot after the lockdown. I thought he was very one-dimensional before the lockdown and really improved in a lot of other areas besides the goal scoring after the lockdown. Still has a ways to go, but 100% deserves this call up. I like the idea of players going on international breaks. I hate international breaks as a fan because it's 2 weeks where all of a sudden, you know, the games just matter. They seem to matter less, and you're kind of bored on the weekend because you're just like, what am I going to do? And but I like the idea of the players going. You get a different coach in there, so there's something, you know, there's there's something else that Gareth Southgate can add to his game and the England coaches and just a different opinion in there or different advice on different things. And that's not a bad thing. You also get the chance to train with different players, with Jadon Sancho, Raheem Sterling, other good players who you could talk with, get advice from, and add a lot to your game. I do hear the idea that, it's too many games and we already have a congested schedule. I think Southgate's not really going to have too many players playing more than, like 100-ish minutes, I think, or not like a game and a third, maybe. I think he's going to rotate the squad pretty heavily between the two games, and not too many players are going to play more than 90-ish minutes. Greenwood himself, probably looking at, I think maybe he gets a chance to start one of these games simply because it's early on. If we were going to the Euros, tomorrow, I don't think he would be a starter, but he absolutely should be on that England team. It's not just a question of whether he's one of the 23 best players for England right now. It's also, he's got a skill set that the team very much needs. I don't think he starts over Sancho or Rashford or Raheem Sterling or Harry Kane, but you're down a goal or it's a tie game at the end and you need a goal. You want to bring someone who is so ruthless and so one single track minded and focused and a bona fide goal scorer like Mason Greenwood off your bench. And not to mention, tournament football is about confidence. And it's probably hard to find an English player right now with more confidence than Mason Greenwood.
Yeah, bang on, Pauly. A couple of things I want to pull you up on there as well, which is spot on. It'd be fantastic for him to get out there and see what it's like to work under a different coach, see what it's like to work with different players, see how that develops his game. Because as much as the coaching might be first class at United, he can pick up new things, new tricks, new developments under Gareth Southgate and his coaching team. And a massive one there as well. If he carries on the way he did last season, going into this season and then leading into Euros, them kind of competitions are very much confidence-led. If you're going in there confident, you're probably going to be one of the best players. You should be in the starting 11. And Mason Greenwood looks like a player who just oozes confidence. You know what I mean? Just nothing seems to faze him, and nothing should do at his age either. Anyway, lads, Mason Greenwood, we just talked about how he fits into the England side, how we feel about that. Where do we see him in the future? How good is he really, James? What's his potential? For me, I've seen the words generational talent. I've seen Ballon d'Or contender in the future. How realistic are people in saying things like that?
Well, I think you just got to look at Wayne Rooney. I think, did he beat Wayne Rooney's record as goal scoring record as an 18-year-old? Mm-hmm. But if he didn't, he equaled it at least. So I think if he stays injury free and doesn't suffer from the same burnout that Wayne Rooney did towards the end of his career, if he stays fit, then Man United manage him properly. He realistically could go on to break Alan Shearer's record the way he's going. I mean, 10 goals in the Premier League, was it? Yeah, 10 in his first season at 18. Bearing in mind, most of his appearances were as a substitute. I think is remarkable. He can only improve. I don't see a ceiling for him at the minute. The sky really is the limit. So yeah, I think we could. I'm not saying it's certain, but we could definitely be seeing one of the best English strikers of his generation, if not of all time.
Yeah, that's bang on, especially what you're saying. I don't see a ceiling for him here as well. It's a great saying that, and I think that's true as well, that the sky's the limit for him. Pauly, how far do you think? Can you give us any more on what James just said there in regards to how far you think Mason Greenwood could go and how far he could develop as a player?
There's more to add, but it's very simple. Like, the sky is the limit. It's hard to see where he can't grow. There are areas where he needs to add to his game. Coming out of the lockdown, he was much better positionally, much better defensively. He really seemed to have grasped Ole Solskjaer's system, and that's why he stepped in and immediately became first choice and immediately started scoring all those goals. But just to look at a player who doesn't, Wayne Rooney could shoot the ball and Carlos Tevez could shoot the ball from outside, but no one really shot the ball in the last 15 years in the United States, besides Ronaldo, the way that Robin Van Persie did. And Mason Greenwood, when he hits the ball, it reminds me of Van Persie, just the way that it propels off of his foot like a rocket. And the fact that he does that with his left foot, but also can be really lethal with his right foot. Makes him so dangerous, and it makes him so hard for defenders to figure out where he's going, what he's going to do. And like I said, there is still more for him to learn. He's got to get into the middle of the box more. He only one of his goals came, on one of those classic number 9 right in the middle goals, and that was the equalizer against Sheffield. He had a chance against Bournemouth at the beginning of the season where he hit the post. That happens, but we want to see him get to those areas more, because if those balls come in, you want Mason Greenwood on the end of them to turn them in and put it in the net. But the way he grew after the lockdown just shows me that he's got a really good head on his shoulders, that anything that he needs to do and he needs to learn, I'm very confident in him being able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Figures with Mason as well. I see a lot of people say, imagine being the opposition, imagine being that coach and you're coaching the defenders and you're telling them to bring him in on his weak foot. Just
what weak foot?
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a weak foot, does he? You know what I mean? He can bring it in on his left, and he can bang it in. He can bring it on his right, he can bang it in, and he does seem to be quite an intelligent player as well. Like, I always remember when I played, you get like I was a striker. Coaches would say like, find the yard, take a shot. He doesn't even have to find the yard. He just seems to find an inch. He'll put it through the legs. He finds space in the most unique manner ever, and he's an absolute, for me, a generational talent, lads. Just dip into the comments. There's already a few people knocking about right now, or a few that are willing to join in anyway. I liked this comment before from Reese. Was talking about Mason Greenwood getting a call up for England. He said, as a Scotsman with Italian and German family, I'm happy for him and his hard work, but I don't want to see him score against any of those 3. Mate, you have got like a massive family tree. Christmas must be mental. You know what I mean? There's a lot of flying about as well over Christmas as well, more than Santa, lad. But nice one for that one, Reese. Moving on to the bad. Hey, Hiders in the chat. Nice to see you, dude. Good man. Moving on to the bad. There's only one bad thing at Old Trafford, I think, this week that we can talk about, and that's Harry Maguire being found guilty of aggravated assault, bribery of a police officer, and resisting arrest. Now, lads, before I jump in with you guys, for me, you know what I mean, it's never good when you do get found guilty of a crime in a court of law. But with United today declaring that they're going to keep him as the captain, he can keep hold of his armband, I think that kind of shows that they've got some kind of like resounding confidence in his innocence moving forward as well. And they feel on appeal that he might, he might actually get away with it. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading a bit too much into that and they just got his back. But Harry Maguire, it's not the greatest news we've had at Old Trafford since Roy Keane hitting a woman and Eric Cantona kicking a racist. Not too bad. We can deal with that one, even though I don't condone violence. But I'll go to you first, Pauly. What's your feelings on the Harry Maguire whole saga?
I am waiting for every fact to come out because it seems like we have 2 sets of facts. What really confuses me, there is the side of the Greek authorities, and then there is Maguire's side where they are adamant about what's happened. We've heard that he was protecting his sister, that a couple of Albanians came up and injected her with something, is one report, and that there was a scuffle there and that he was protecting his sister. And if he's protecting his sister and that's why he got charged with aggravated assault, like, that's cool with me. That's what a captain does is he looks out for, those that are with him. Not that I condone violence, and obviously trying to bribe your way out of an issue is bad, and hitting a police officer is bad, and you should not do that. It would be silly to not think that they were under the influence of alcohol. They were out. It was nighttime. He's on holiday. Again, not an excuse, but he's enjoying himself. But he very much claims that he is innocent and that this is being misrepresented. He posted that on Instagram last night. Like you said, United are standing by him. And my question is, this story, it broke last Thursday. He was already put through trial early what was there, 5 days? I don't know how the justice system works in Greece, but that seems really quick. especially because his lawyers asked for the trial to be delayed. I just don't understand how we go from an arrest is made one day and then 5 days later we already have a conviction and a full trial. Something seems a little off to me, and if it did seem like someone was just trying to get money, I can understand why he may have thought like, I can pay my way out of this, because everything about this just seems sketchy. So right now it's waited out. I know that's the boring answer, but until all the facts come out, we're not going to hear from Maguire until this case is done, because his lawyers are going to tell him not to speak. But once everything comes out, then we can judge. And unfortunately, it's just like every other United story right now is we just have to be patient.
Yeah, but it's like over there, I don't want to bore you all, right? But we over in England, I'm sure in America, we've got a common law system. Over there, they've got a civil law system. It does move a little bit quicker than ours, but 5 days from being arrested to being charged to being found guilty is absolutely batshit crazy. I am surprised that Hollywood have not jumped on this and got hold of it. We've had a woman injected. We've had a global superstar fighting with police. We've had Albanian drug dealers involved. You know what I mean? Liam Neeson's going to be playing.
Right, it's taken four.
Yeah, it's taken 4. Oh, it's got it written all over it, mate, hasn't it? James, what's your take on Harry Maguire being nicked, banged up abroad, pal?
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything that Pauly said there at all. I think you just got to wait till all the facts come out, because every day there seems to be a development or something contrasting something else. And it'll be impossible to know until this appeal was lodged and there's an actual legitimate trial, because it does just seem like it was all a bit rushed. Like they just got it over and done with to try and get a big name banged up in their country. But I think I'm not surprised that United have kept him on as the captain. So I think when he signed last season, he completely embodies the new transfer strategy that United are going for, doesn't he? He's a homegrown. He's one of the biggest English superstars in the world, especially after the World Cup. And I think he was brought in on the knowledge that Ashley Young was leaving, so that he would be the future United captain. Just, sort of guiding them into this new era of, out of the Galacticos into the homegrown talent era. So, to strip him of the captaincy after putting all their plans on him would have been a very difficult decision from United. So from their standpoint, I can see why they've kept him on. But one thing I was saying to a friend of mine the other day is I think the negative side of this is it's shown how the British media sort of handle different situations based on the different races. I think, the big comparison that was made was, Maguire, after being arrested for fighting in the street, was still labelled, I think, by The Guardian as a model citizen or a model player. Whereas, the story that's mainly linked is Raheem Sterling getting absolutely slated by the papers for buying his mum a house. And it just makes me think how different things would have been if he wasn't this quiet, white Englishman who just goes about his business in an orderly way. I think from that point of view, it's disappointing, especially as an industry that I want to go into. It's disappointing to see that times haven't changed. But yeah, in terms of Aaron Maguire himself, I'm like Pauly. I'm gonna stick with him, even though the conviction has come through. It doesn't seem like a convincing one at all.
No, it doesn't seem like a convincing one in the slightest. I can tell you're going to be a journo as well, James. Like just some of the sayings you come out and the way you speak, like moving from the Galacticos into the homegrown era and stuff like that. It's just like beautiful phrases that I like hearing. And that's exactly what's happened at Old Trafford, isn't it? We've spent 20, 30 years having Galacticos and superb players, Cantonars, your Keanes, your Ronaldos, your Rooneys, etc. And now starting all over again, as Fergie did in 92, hopefully. Just before I ask you the question for the bad, I'm going to pop into the comments because this is a fair comment from Gaynor. Just going along the facts that it could take up to a year, apparently, for the appeal. I don't know this. I haven't read this one yet. It could hang over his head. Do you know what I mean? He's a professional footballer. He's a professional athlete, but he's human. you know, so anything like that, surely he's got to be able to niggle at him and hopefully gain it. They've got the right people at Old Trafford who can, you know, you can sit down with, you can talk with, you know, they can deal with it with him. He's got his family around him and his friends as well. But that is something to think about, lads, to be fair, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think the longer it takes, the better chance he has of coming out of this clean, because we already saw that these charges got dropped down to misdemeanors. I think that happened Monday, and then Tuesday it was, we did the trial and got our conviction. So it just seemed like they were rushing it for the purpose of to try to convict him. And the longer he has his lawyers, who I am sure are very well compensated and very good lawyers working on this, the better his chances are.
Yeah. Sorry, mate, I was about to bring you back on then, but I was having a bit of water. Right, lads. So the question for the bad, which I posed to you, and I want to hear in the comments what you think as well. Obviously, Harry Maguire allegedly or been charged with getting himself into a bit of a scuffle, a bit of a settler. If you was to pick one player to have a fight with, who would it be? Why? And who wins? And I'm going to go to James first on this one.
I think from the present squad, you can't look past Daniel James. I think he's the one player in this United squad that has been absolutely bullied all year. The one that sticks out in my head is the Liverpool game at home. I think he got clattered by Fabinho and maybe Robertson within the space of 5 minutes. I think 2 proper bad head injuries that he struggled to get up from, and that they were just from shoulders. So I think, you know, I'm not sure. I think I'd have a height and reach advantage. So I think I'd stand a fair chance there. Yeah, historically, there's. Oh, well, I say historically, it's because he's been at the club for a long time. But other than that, I think Juan Mata, for the same reason, he's not big and strong at all. I think
we should have. I should have. What's it called at boxing? You know, where it comes up with like all the stats and that, the readings of how they look. How tall are you, James?
About 6'3".
6'3". You're gonna absolutely ruin Juan Mata, mate.
Maguire is 6'2".
Brilliant, mate. So obviously you could have a settler with Daniel James. Who's winning?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because he's very quick. He could be in and out before I'd even seen him come in.
Point decision.
Yeah, probably get a point. So I think he's got the stamina and speed over me, but I think I've got the advantage of height and power. So it'd be a tight one.
So James to knock out or win on points against Daniel James. Pauly, the same question to you and people in the comments. If you're going to pick one player from Old Trafford to have a fight with, why and who wins?
This is a hard question because my friends and I have always discussed, if we were to get into a bar fight, what player do we want on our side? I never really thought about which player could I take in a fight, which is probably not many. Daniel James, Juan Mata, good shouts. They are probably the ones I have to look into because I am not 6'3". I am much smaller. But Daniel James is very quick. I think I'm going to go with Luke Shaw, who will have a height advantage on me. But I think then I get maybe a speed advantage. And more importantly, if I nail a punch in the right spot, he's very liable to break down. Because he's very injury prone, and that will give me the advantage that I need. If I don't know where to hit Daniel James. I don't know where to hit Juan Mata, but they're also smaller and quicker. Mata a little bit less in these days, but I think Shaw, if I move in quick and I get a kick in the knee or a punch in the right place, I can incapacitate one of his limbs, and that will give me a better chance.
Look, Pauly, you've really thought about this, mate. I mean, you've played this out in your mind. So, but you put that on like Tekken last night, doing it loving it, mate. Absolutely fantastic, that pal. So you're gonna fight, and who's it you're gonna fight again? Sorry,
Luke Shaw.
Luke Shaw, because he's prone to injury. So you reckon if you punch him in the ribs, that's definitely gonna shatter about 2 or 3, and he'll be out for 6 months. So you're gonna come to it. Who wins and how in the end? Like James, is it a TKO? Is it gone in points? Or are you putting him out? Are you putting him out due to that injury?
Oh, my only chance, unless he retires from injury, my only chance is on points. I don't want to be too self-deprecating, but I don't think I beat him. I've probably never gotten into a fight in my life. I might punch him and break a rib, but I'll probably break some of my own knuckles as well.
Fair play, mate. So we've had 2 fights so far. My final fight for me, I want to fight Roy Keane. You know what I mean? I see what you lads have done there. You've gone for the easy victories.
I got to get my stats up.
I've gone for a tough one. Mainly, I've gone for Roy Keane because I want to be down the boozer with the lads, and they'd be like telling tales now. Like, I once got knocked out by Roy Keane. You know, 'cause I have no doubt he will put me 6 foot under. You know what I mean? Like one put, I'll just have to run about until I run out of breath. Maybe catch one to the ribs or like one to the chin. But no doubt, Roy Keane is putting me out cold within like the first round. But for me, it's just so I can like brag to people that I got sparkled by one of the biggest legends at Old Trafford ever. Let's see who else he wants to fight. It's only Reese who wants to fight apparently. And if I could have fight with any player, I'd fight Andreas Pereira. Beat some intelligence into him. Oh, mate, some burn there. And a previous player, it will be Carlos Tevez, for the words he said after joining. Yeah, fair enough with Tevez, mate, but that face is ugly enough, isn't it? You don't want to be giving him more of a beating. Poor lad. Phil's joined us in the chat. Hey, Phil, pal, hope you well. Gaynor, would you fight Robbo? That's a good question. Gaynor, absolutely. I think she would. She'd do anything just to get sweaty with Brian, to be honest. She'd be all over that. She'd probably wrestle more than she would fight, though, Reese. Last topic, the ugly. This is always something a bit bizarre in the world of football, be it connected to United or not connected to United. And this week, I'm going to have to read this one out after before because it's brilliant. Because I need to get the wording right of this team as well. In 2009, after problems getting a conventional investor, German club Göttingen 05 made a shirt deal with a local brothel. Fucking brothel, mate. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine like the contracts that went into that? You know, here your bonuses will be a massage for every player with a happy ending.
Oh, you only get a happy ending if you win.
yeah, that's it. If you finish in the top 3, you get a massage with a happy ending. Every shirt number's got to be 69. What, mate? What possessed him to do that? You know what I mean? It's like it's the most craziest thing I've ever heard of. Had you lads even heard of that before I sent it you?
No,
not at all.
No, you probably won't do. I've really got into the dark web there. If you missed that in the chat, then the ugly part of the show is that Göttingen 05 from Germany was struggling financially and they couldn't find a conventional investor. So they brokered a shirt deal with a local brothel. Do you know what I mean? I don't need like in the stands and say the shaggy they want, the shaggy you want. All sponsors, the shaggy they want. It's absolutely batshit crazy, lads. But related it to obviously further into football, this season we've sadly had to say goodbye to teams like Bury due to financial difficulties, and Wigan are currently in administration. I know that more than anybody because my gym is DW, and I was getting ready and ready to go back to the gym after lockdown, and then big Dave Whelan from heaven sends me a text message telling me that my gym's been shut down. I'm like, nah, mate, get out of it. But working along the similar line to Göttingen 05, if you were going to help out Bury and Wigan, where would you see them finding a financial investment from, James?
I've actually, I'd like to hand the first answer over to Pauly because I've got 2 answers based entirely on what he answers and whether they're appropriate or not.
Hey, everything's appropriate on here, mate. We've already said we should probably make this after 9 o'clock on the Watershed, but for now, let's see what Pauly has to say about.
James could have answered whatever because I thought about this so much, and it's hard to top a brothel because that's the world's oldest business, and that's never going to go out of style. Except right now, are brothels even doing well because of COVID? Are you allowed to use one? Are people using them? Is it safe? So I don't even know if the brothel industry is in the position to be able to bail somebody out with the sponsor. Where else can we go? We already do the alcohol. We already do the gambling. I guess maybe you can find one of the some of the cartels that are shipping out heroin. They probably have money to spare, but where else do you go once you've done brothel?
It's a fair point, Pauly. I like the fact that Pauly was like posing the question to me and James. Oh, brothels still open in England? Like, I don't know, mate. My mum might be watching. People in the chat, do you know if brothels are still open in England? And also, if you've just joined the chat and you're wondering what the fuck is going on, we're talking about Göttingen 05, who used the unconventional way of a shirt deal by getting sponsored by the local brothel. James, so obviously Bury and Wigan are in financial dire straits. How are you going to help them out, mate?
Well, me safe, sort of safe for work answer would have been, in that area, Bury and Wigan, I think they're fairly close together. In that area, what do people like more than anything else? It's beer. What's the most Wigan and Bury sort of, classy beer? I'm thinking Stella. So I think Wigan or Bury would happily take on a Stella sponsorship, 3 cans after the batch, proper old cans that were like 7+% and stuff like that. I think make it really classy. And then I was doing some research for the other one just in case it got a bit not safe for work, and I found the average age of Wigan is 41, and it's increasing year on year, the average age. So my suggestion was a brand of Viagra called Viagra Connect. I think,
that's how you beat brothels.
I think the positives of it is, these are players that are running around for 90 minutes, and Viagra is well known for increasing your stamina, and I think it feels it's a perfect market for the ever increasing age average of the population of Wigan. So I think it's a win-win, really. You're getting money in, your fans are getting some, targeted advertising, and your players can, we'll say, run around for a lot longer.
James, that is absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you could hear us backstage, but I was pissing myself there, especially at the Viagra with the stamina. Mine wasn't too dissimilar. Well, it was not Viagra, but I thought about the areas, Bury and Wigan, and I thought, obviously, Wigan loves pies. Bury must love strippers.
They must.
Yeah, they must do. Everybody loves strippers, and there's loads of those open, Pauly, by the way. There's loads of strip joints. Well, I thought strippers and pies, because what do we love at footy as well? Love a pint and a pie, don't we, when we go? So they're going to get sponsored by Wigan Pies and some Bury strippers as well to save them. Instead of cheerleaders, because I know cheerleaders are massive over there, aren't they, in America, Pauly? They're not so huge here, but we could start this. We could start a revolution over here. But instead of cheerleaders, I know it's a family event when it comes to football, but just some strippers on there eating pies, just smashing pies on the tits, whatever they want to do. I absolutely love that. Let's have a quick look in the comments before we wrap this one up, guys. Really enjoyed this tonight. I don't think really anybody's. Oh yeah, Gaynor said that sounds like a sponsorship deal that Ed would negotiate. He'd probably negotiate a deal for fireworks. To be honest, that's a bit too close to the bonus plus, isn't it? But Glazer cow. What's this? Glazer's cash cow. It would be called no sex paid donations. Good for me. So I like that one. People in the comments. Don't forget to smash the like button, like, subscribe, hit the notifications. This has been fantastic. Thank you very much for joining me, Pauly. Thank you very much for joining me, James. And thank you for everybody in the comments who joined in this week. We'll be back next week with some more good, the bad, and the ugly. Take care. Bye-bye.